Hi everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS. In this class, we are starting with the new series of NCERT. Here we will discuss the history NCERT from class 6 to 12th and that too topic wise. The most important and beautiful part of the subject is that you will learn the base of everything. If you really want to consolidate your GS foundation, this course is going to be very beneficial for you. Here we are starting the history part today, where we will start from the class 6th. But I'll just tell you that when you are going topic wise in NCERT, you'll be saving a lot of time. But the problem is that NCERT is written in segments, okay, and it's completely scattered. You can't decide that which particular part is dedicated to which particular topic. Like, for example, the Harappan civilization. It's there in your class 6th NCERT. Then it repeats in the class 11th NCERT. Then again you'll find it in the class 12th NCERT. Then the problem is which one to refer, the old NCERT or the new NCERT. Or we should just directly go to the standard book. Or we should read the Tamil Nadu history book. So I'll just tell you that for all these things, I have a one-stop solution for you. The Tamil Nadu history book is going to be covered here. All your NCERTs, old and new, are going to be covered here. So you don't need to worry at all. You just need to continue watching these classes and I'll give you dictation of important points which will be beneficial for your exam, both prelims and mains. Fine. So let's start. What we are studying, we need to understand the topic well. We are starting with the history series, 6 to 12th, right? So when I say history, we should understand that why do we read history? What is history? History is a record of all the important past events. Okay. So if you have something written as a record, or if you can find some kind of evidence, that is history. Fine. But we have a prehistory also, where we have no written records, right? So do we call it history, or why should we call it prehistory, or is it before history? So basically, if you have some written records, then you will consider it to be history, okay? But if you don't have any written record, then it is prehistory, okay? But in between of these two, we have proto history as well, where we have the written records but they are not deciphered, okay, like Indus Valley civilization. So let's understand from how and where we study the history. And from this question only, the NCERT begins. How, when, where, when. Do you know? If you read the class 6 NCERT, the first chapter starts with this question only. How, when, where, like this. So basically, they just want you to understand that what is history, how do you study it, from where can we start, from where people started living. Okay, now just understand the point that what exactly is there in your own syllabus. The prehistory part is not that important. Okay, Harappan civilization is the most important part, and from there your ancient history starts as per your trend, you can say, not according to the syllabus but the trend which is going on. But you know that UPSC is very unpredictable, and we should not keep any conditions when we are learning history, right? We should start from very scratch, zero, basic to advanced, everything we need to cover. Fine. So when we read history, we know that it is the record of all the important events. Now how will we make a time frame? It's very important that you need to divide everything, as you need to go in a chronology. So to maintain a sequence, it's very important that you get a right time frame. And to do this, we have AD and BC. Okay, just to understand it, if you remember your number system, you must have read it in your school days, the number system where we used to start from 0, and if we go backside before 0, then that will be the negative numbers, negative integers, and here we will have the positive integers. Like 2025 can be written as 2025 AD if I want to write today's year like this, okay, the present time. So AD is present time, it is the new time. But 0 and before 0 there is BC. BC is before Christ or before Common Era. Okay, before Common Era. Okay, so basically here we will be using BC. BC is the time before Christ. Now, why 0 is considered as the birth of Jesus Christ, and why Jesus Christ is so important? Why not any other god? Why not any other religious beliefs? So basically, just to avoid the religious situations, we now use before Common Era and after Common Era. Okay, or BCE, before Common Era, or after Common Era, or Common Era, CE. So you can write AD or CE, both are same. Okay, you can write BC or BCE, both are same. Fine. So why do we use it? Just because we don't need to include the religious things when we are reading history. But just understand that the birth of Jesus Christ, why it became very important, because historians like Herodotus is considered as the father of history. He was a Greek historian, he was a Greek scholar. So he was an European. So these Europeans only started writing things. Okay, so they started recording. They had a great habit of recording and writing everything. So when they will write about anything, they will have their own perspective, and if they are following any religion, they'll try to keep that religious point in their mind. That's why Jesus Christ. Okay, so there is nothing related to Christianity here, that why we have decided and divided the timeline like this. But yes, it's just an interesting concept that early historians, as they were Christians mostly, generally, so they just considered the date of Jesus Christ as the beginning day of the present time or the new era. So that was known as Anno Domini, or the after Christ era. So in this way they divided the entire time frame of the history. Okay, now why do we divide it? We divide it to have a good understanding, and it's for our own convenience, you can say. Okay, so that's why we have decided to divide it. Now, time frames of history, you need to understand 2 points here. As I just told you, that historians use chronological sequence, okay, for a better understanding. And to do this, they have considered the birth of Jesus Christ as the year 0. Fine. And any event before Christ is called before Christ, BC, and any event after the birth of Jesus is called Anno Domini or AD or Common Era. Okay, we can also call it Common Era. So 2025, this is 2025 AD. 2026 AD will be there. Then 2027, right? And if I write 2025 BC, then what will it mean? That I am talking about the time which is very near to the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so that will be too old. Now, just understand one small point here. In AD and BC, just a small difference is there, that when you use AD, with the increase in the number, you are going ahead in time. Like 2024 AD is older than the 2025 AD, right? So after 2024, we will have 2025, 2026, 2027. Okay, but in BC, the numbers are in opposite direction. Okay, we go backward in BC. So if numbers are increasing, then the time is declining. You're going in more backward phase. Like 2000 BC is newer than 3000 BC. 3000 BC is more old. Okay, it's older. Then 4000 BC will be more older, right? 5000 BC is going to be very old. Fine. And how and from where we will start? From which BC we will start? We will start from 2 million years ago. Okay, why? Because the time period of prehistory will start from there. Why? I'll tell you. There is a geological time scale also, due to which we have divided it like that, and there will be a Pleistocene period, and then you'll see from there some changes are going to be there, and we will have some kind of tools, and those rough tools will be converted into the microlithic tools, and then you will have some polished tools. You'll also have potteries, granaries. These kind of developments are going to be there. Fine. So one small important disclaimer is that you don't need to read the world history. You only need to consider the Indian history. So when I say ancient history, we just need to do the ancient Indian history. So we don't need to go into the details of human being, the anthropological details, the sociological details, like from where human civilization got started, from where the humanity got started, why religious things are there, how human evolved, how humans started living. No, we just need to know about the Indian people. Okay, Indian men, Indian women, Indian children, Indian culture, Indian society, how it started, how we started. Okay, so that we need to understand. So when I say people, they started living, they started doing things, you should have the question from when and from where they started living on the banks of the river Yamuna. Like this, they have written it in NCERT. So why river Yamuna? Why river Ganga? Why Indus? Why not any other river? And why only riverside they had to choose? So this is something which needs to be very clear here. Fine. So I hope now you understand that what is history, why do we need to study it. You need to know the concept of everything as you're going to be the officer. So you'll be leading the entire country. You must know the background of your country, right? You should know how the country used to be, from where we have reached this time period till now, and why this present situation is like this today. How can it be better? So for future planning, we need to study. Now, timeline of history is divided into 3 stages. As I just told you, prehistory, for which we don't have any written record. Okay, so we only depend on archaeological evidences. Then we have proto-history, in which we have the written records, but they are not deciphered, like for Indus Valley civilization. And then we have the part of history from where you have proper written records and they are also deciphered. You can understand it, you can analyze it, you can collect something out of it, and then that will create some history for you. One more important point is that timeline is fine, and we have divided it on 3 stages just because of their written records and other things. But the problem is that how do you decide it? How do you make a timeline? And when you need to know about a history of certain place, people, anywhere, then how do you get to know it? So we have some methodologies, like we have radiocarbon dating also, we have other scientific systems also. But the problem is, what is going to be the base, okay, to know history or to get to understand a point? There should be some kind of interaction with material, culture, people. Now if it is in history, then they are not there anymore for us. Okay, we can't talk to them anymore. Those people, those past human beings, they are not present today, but their belongings are here, their paintings are here, their houses, their huts, their homes, their bricks, those things used by them can be considered to study and recreate the history again. So, if I say sources to know the history or to read the history, we have basically 2 types of sources. Okay, 2 types of sources: archaeological evidences and written records. Okay, or literary records. Fine. So in archaeology, what you will have? In archaeology, you will have the findings like architecture, sculptures, potteries, tools, buildings, things which you can touch, see, okay, which is not written or drawn or engraved anywhere. It is just a piece of something, okay. Tools are archaeology, right? So you can have archaeological findings or you can have literary records. In literary records also, you can have different types of literary records. Like you can have religious literature, you can have secular literature, and in literary records also we start from manuscripts and inscriptions. Why? Because see, manuscripts used to be written, and but they were written on a very you can say perishable material like paper, palm leaf, so they perished. and few of the manuscripts are preserved today. Even today we have, but they are not in a very good condition. Fine. But if you write something on a harder surface, let's say if you write something on a rock or a pillar, then that will be inscription. We will call it inscription. So inscription is also a written record. It's a type of written record, but it's written on a harder surface. Okay. Then later on, when paper was discovered, when people started writing the books and all, we started getting many written materials and records, which I'll be telling you. I'll explain the Brahmanas, Aryankas, Upanishad, everything and their meaning also. Now, just to make you understand how we will proceed in these classes, I just want to show you something. We are starting with a new series today, right? So I have all the important maps with me. I have all the important points with me, which I'll be giving you. But the most important thing which I want you to understand is that if we will just follow the sequence of NCERT class 6th, you will see the first chapter is how, where, when. Okay. Then they talk about the name India, how it was derived. Okay. Why it was derived like this. Then they try to talk about the past sources, archaeological sources, literary records, and then they'll show you some pictures like this in the book. Whatever important was there, I have taken it into the consideration, and I have added everything in my slides. So we'll be moving like this, and we will not break the sequence of history or NCERT. Okay. And I'll ensure that you can relate it with your class wise book also. Like if you go and read the class 6th NCERT, the first chapter is how, where, when. The second chapter is about the hunting, gathering, and growing food, which is talking about the Mesolithic age indirectly. But as it was written for class 6 students, so they have not used those high level terms. Fine. So you are not in class 6, right? You are preparing for UPSC. So instead of saying that from hunting, gathering, growing food, I can simply use a term for you, which is Mesolithic age or Middle Stone Age. Why? Because in Middle Stone Age only we saw the transition from hunting to gathering and growing the food. Fine. So I can just simply say that, okay, let's study about the Mesolithic age. Okay, then I'll be showing you some sites and things like this. So these all are the slides. Let me just show you how it's going to be there, what kind of class, what kind of quality you'll be getting. So all these details are going to be covered today. As I told you, we will be doing everything in the book which is there, and that too topic wise. So yes, I have added the name of chapters also. Like the third chapter is the in the earlier cities. Then there are some architectural features of Indus Valley civilization that will be covering, and then the Indus Valley civilization map is going to be there. The jewelries which they used to be, which they used to wear, whatever they used to have, everything is covered, right? Then the chapter 4 is about what book and burial tell us. Okay. Then you'll be getting these kind of pictures. Then the fifth chapter in your book is about kingdoms, kings, and early republic. So this chapter will discuss few new Mahajanpads, Ganas, Sanghas, and the rise of Buddhism and Jainism is going to be there. Then there is a closer look on Vajji. Chapter 6 is about new questions and ideas. Okay, so this chapter will deal with the Jainism, Buddhism, monasteries. Okay, then 7th chapter is about Ashoka the Great. Okay, so they will be discussing the Ashokan time, the development of modern empire, and the architectural development, the Brahmi Lipi, why they used to have the Brahmi script. Then 8th chapter is about vital villages and thriving towns, how people used to live. Like this, I have compiled everything. Okay, as this is the first session, no, so I just need to tell you what exactly is going to be there. Traders, kings, and pilgrims, religion. This chapter will deal with the traders and all. Then 10th chapter is about new empire and kingdom. So like this, what I have done, that I will not leave any stone unturned for you. Okay, I'll be dealing with each and every point. I just want to cover everything for you. That, like, I just want to keep this session like you should not be worrying about watching anything else. Once you leave this video, you should be satisfied that okay, I have covered everything and no other point is remaining for me. So yes, I'll be doing it like this. This is going to be the way of class, and this kind of strategy I have made for you for this lecture series. Fine. Now what I'm doing is, as it is a NCERT course, so I'll be following NCERT, and the sequence will be like that only, but I'll be adding the important points which should be covered for exam from the Tamil Nadu history book as well. Fine. And as it is going to be topic wise, then we'll be trying to do everything in a very detailed way. Like as we have started from class 6, I'll be following the sequence also, but just try to understand that these topics are repeated in class 11th also, and then again in class 12th also. Okay. So in the later stage, when I'll feel like giving you some advanced content, I'll dictate you few new points. Fine. But right now, let's just start from the basics. Okay. So this class is going to be dedicated for the basics of ancient history, you can say. Fine. So sources. As I told you, we can have archaeological evidences and we can also have literary records. Fine. So in short, what I can write is that we can have archaeological sources and literary sources. Okay, let's make a flow chart. Okay, once you will make a flow chart, then you'll learn that how archaeological sources can be divided into monuments, sculptures, okay, and then how literary records can be divided into religious record, secular record, foreign record, because many foreign travelers also came. In foreign records, we have different types of foreigners. Chinese pilgrims were there, like Fa Hean, Hyun Sang. Then we had some Arabian travelers coming in India. We had different travelers in the time of Vijayanagar Empire. Okay, like Niccolo di Conti was there, Ibn Battuta was there. So we need to write about all of them. Fine. So we'll just make a small flow chart. Okay. Now, this is a physical map of our subcontinent, and here I just want you to look in this particular part. Okay, in the beginning of your NCERT, it's written that near the Suleiman and Kirtha ranges, people started growing crops. So from here, agriculture got started. Okay, look at this area, which is in present Pakistan today. Fine. But at that time, when we discuss about the ancient history, we know that it was the part of India. So we will not say that this is not history, Indian history, right? This is Indian history. Daddy is always daddy, right? So we know that India had this part. So when we talk about ancient history, especially Indus Valley civilization, the part which is in present Pakistan will be considered a lot. Okay, that map is also very important. All those passes are important, rivers and tributaries are important, and especially the Indus River, very important. Indus River, fine, it's going to be extremely important for you. Now there are few concepts related to the name of India, like how the name India came. Okay, so Iranians got in touch with Indians initially, and they never had their H word, her sound, in their dictionary. Okay, so they used to call it sir. Okay, so that's why they used to call it Sindhu. The river, Indus River, they called it Sindhu or Indus. So from there the word came Hindu, people living in the eastern side of the Indus River. And also there was a Bharat tribe, ancient, in the ancient times, from where the word has been derived. So there are many beliefs regarding the name. Okay, so our country called India or Bharat gets the name from the people of North India who use Bharat in Sanskrit compositions, Rigveda, and the word Indus traces its roots from the river Indus, which is called Sindhu in Sanskrit. Now, when I talk about Sanskrit, you should know how Sanskrit came. When I say that there was a Sanskrit composition of Rig Veda, we should know that from where Rig Veda came. Fine. So to make it simple, let's make a timeline. Let's make a chart and understand it. Let's start from the time of prehistory. As I told you, for prehistory, we don't have any written record. We only have archaeological evidences. Okay. So, 2 points which you need to remember is that we have no written record and we only have archaeological findings for prehistory. Now, this prehistory is divided into two parts, Stone Age and Metal Age. Okay. So, I'll just make a small timeline chart for you. Prehistory is divided into two parts. Stone Age, because we had stone tools here, and Metal Age, because we had metal tools here. Fine. Metal Age. Now, let's start from the Stone Age. Stone Age is further divided into three parts: Paleolithic Age, Mesolithic Age, and Neolithic Age. Paleo means old and lithic means stone. Old, stone. Paleo means old and lithic means stone. So we can also call it Old Stone Age. Fine. So Paleolithic Age can also be called Old Stone Age. Fine. Then we have Mesolithic Age. Mesolithic means Meso means Middle Stone Age, which was a transitional period. Then we got Neolithic Age. Neolithic Age, which is New Age. It is also known as the time where agricultural revolution came. People started settling down. And if we look at the time period, we are starting the series from 2 million years ago. Okay. So from 2 million years ago to 12,000 BC, we had the time of Paleolithic Age, roughly. Okay, this is a rough division, you can say, as per the NCERT class 6th, but the dates are written with different times, in different way, in different books. You don't need to get confused. Fine. This is a rough fragmentation, and UPSC will never judge you or ask you about these dates, like from which particular time Mesolithic age starts and Paleolithic age ends. Then the answer is no time is decided yet. We have different time frames, we have different dates, we have different years written as per different historians and their findings. Okay, so it is debatable, but roughly or majorly as it is concerned, we considered that from 12,000 BC to 10,000 BC, we have Mesolithic Age. Then from 10,000 BC to around 5,000 BC, you can say, we had Neolithic Age. Okay. Then got the metal. So the first metal to be discovered was copper. So we got the Copper Age. So first metal is going to be copper. So that will start the Chalcolithic Age for you. It starts from 5,000 to 4,000 BC. Okay. And then when we mixed copper with tin, we got bronze, where you have Indus Valley civilization, So Bronze Age starts from 3000 BC or around 3000 BC, you can say. Okay. Then we discovered iron in 1000 BC. Okay. Iron in 1000 BC. Okay. Like this, the time frame goes. Now, just understand everything here, that when we talk about all these timelines and time frames, we are starting from the Stone Age, right? So, specifically, we need to discuss the Stone Age first. Then we will come to the Metal Age, right? So, as I told you, that to know about the past, you should have some source to know the past, right? We can have archaeological source and we can also have literary source. If I say we can have literary sources, then we can have these kind of manuscripts with us. But if I talk about the archaeological sources, then we have few materials, tools, buildings used by people of that time. So archaeologists and historians, they study several sources. What they do? They study several sources to tell us about the past. Okay. And to know it well and to understand it in a better way, we can have it divided into two parts: archaeological sources and literary sources. Fine. Then, when we talk about the literary sources, again it can be religious literature or secular literature, and one more point is about foreign literature. Like this, you can look at this point here. What is this? This is an old inscription. As I told you, inscriptions are written on the harder surface. Okay. So this inscription dates to around 2250 years ago. And it was found in Kandahar, which is present day Afghanistan. And it was inscribed on the orders of the ruler named Ashoka. So it tells us that Ashoka had his influence till the point of Kandahar. That's why his inscriptions are found at that place. So can we say that somehow archaeology gives us a confirmation about the literary record? Like if you have some literary record and if you have some kind of idea about a point, and if you get the support of archaeological finding also, then it will be confirmed, right? So archaeology is very much trusted and reliable as a source. And especially the point of prehistory which we are starting today, archaeology is very, very important. Because for the prehistory, we only have archaeological findings. Fine. So let's start the point of prehistory today. As I was discussing with you, we are starting from the Stone Age. Fine. So what I told you, Stone Age is divided into three parts. First is Paleolithic Age, 2 million years ago to 12,000 BC. Then we have Mesolithic Age, which starts from 12,000 BC to 10,000 BC. Then we have Neolithic Age from 10,000 BC to 5,000 BC. Okay. So the time period after 10,000 BC is Neolithic Age. Let's start from the Paleolithic Age. This Paleolithic Age can be further divided into three parts: Lower Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic, and Upper Paleolithic. Why we have divided it in three parts? The Mesolithic age can also be divided into the lower Mesolithic and upper Mesolithic. But that lower, middle and upper division is more important for the Paleolithic age. Why? Because the time period is huge. When you have such a long span of time, then you can divide it in three parts. Fine. It will give you a better understanding. Let's say I'm digging a ground and on the upper surface I get a bowl. So if I have a ball, I'll say that it is a ball from Upper Paleolithic Age. Then if I'll dig harder and go deeper, I may get a spoon. So this spoon is coming from the Middle Paleolithic Age, which is older than the ball. Then we have the third one, which is, let's say, a plate. If I get a plate in deeper, surface, then that will be known as Lower Paleolithic Age. So just understand that plate is the oldest thing here. So if you dig inside the surface, the deeper you'll go, the older things you will get. So Upper Paleolithic Age is going to be there near the surface area. The Middle Paleolithic Age is going to be deeper inside the surface, and the lowest part of your surface area is going to have the sources and archaeological findings of Paleolithic Age, which is Lower Paleolithic Age. So you can write this, you can make a chart like this, and you can write that Paleolithic Age can be further divided into Upper, Middle and Lower Paleolithic Age. Fine. And with every division, you'll see a kind of progress in the human civilization, in the life, in the attitude, in the, all the types of developments. So when we start from the Paleolithic Age, what we had at this time? See, roughly I'll just try to tell you before I start dictation for, important points related to today's discussion. The Paleolithic Age had only rough tools, rough stone tools. So this is the first point. It shows that human being and human civilizations were not developed at yet. They only had some rough ideas of making tools. They were making stone tools, but not that nice. They used to do only hunting and gathering. So they were nomadics, okay? They only used to do hunting and gathering. They used to live in the caves, especially near to the river valley, so that they can hunt animals easily, because animals will also come to drink the water, and they'll also have a regular supply of water for their daily needs and drinking purposes. So they always used to live near the river valleys, in the caves. So if they'll be living in the caves in their free time, they used to make the cave paintings also. So we have some Paleolithic paintings with us, okay, like Bhimbedka painting is considered to have been done, near the time of Upper Paleolithic Age or the Mesolithic Age, majorly. So basically, they used to live in the caves. They discovered fire, but it was not very nicely utilized till the time of Upper Paleolithic Age. So you can see that the life was very, very simple. These groups or bands of people used to be there, and they had no civilized way of living. They were nomadic herders. They used to go here and there, or you can say they were not even herders, because they never knew about domestication or anything like that. Only hunting gathering they used to do. They knew about seasons, they knew about basic living standards, but they were unaware in many sense. It is also due to the geological time scale that after a few years, climatic conditions changed. Climate became warmer. And due to this geographical shift, we saw the shift in the transitional period. So basically, in the Mesolithic age, we had microlithic tools. More precise and small tools came into existence. So here we got microlithic tools, Mesolithic age, and people in the Mesolithic age also started fishing and domestication. Fishing and domestication. So when this question is asked that from where agriculture was started, from Neolithic age or from Mesolithic age. So understand that you need to give the answer that it started in Mesolithic age but developed in the Neolithic age. Surplus agriculture was there in Neolithic age only, but the starting of agriculture, early phase of agriculture was there in the Mesolithic age only. Here people started domestication. So initially they used to domesticate the gentle animals. So the first animal to be tamed was a dog, old ancestor of dog. And why dog? Because dog gives you security. See, since beginning, since birth, human beings are fearful. We have insecurity. We are always hungry and fearful. You'll see that a child, a newborn child, knows how to drink the milk, knows how to satisfy the hunger. Okay, why a child cries? Because he is fearful. He knows nothing about this world. Okay, but he is hungry. So, fear and hunger. And this fear and hunger will only increase in your life. Okay, you are more hungry now and more fearful now than in your childhood, right? And this will only increase with your age, right? So that's why human beings, as they had something to keep with them now, started agriculture. They were in their early stage of settlement. They needed security, they needed protection. So for that they started keeping dogs with them. Also those animals who who can eat the leftover food, that will be tamed. Why? Because humans will have a greater control and easy maintenance for these animals. So they started keeping cattle, they started keeping different, you know, species of goats and cows, and other cattle were domesticated. Now animal became a ready source of meat also. So it was a stored food for them. Also for milk and other things they used to keep animals. Now the most important development is that climate became warmer, and due to climate only these new developments happened. Because before this there was an ice age. It was too cold. Human beings could not survive nicely. Their life expectancy was too low. They were always fearful. They never knew how to deal with their living situation. There was a kind of a survival crisis, you can say. Now tools improved, life improved, climate improved, agriculture was there. In Mesolithic age, that's why it is known as a transitional age, because from hunting to gathering, we started growing the food. Okay, and then when we started growing the food, we started storing it, right? So the food storage, potteries and granaries are going to be there with you in the Neolithic age. Okay, so now tools also improved, better technology of tools came. So we had better tools now, in which polished tools came, bone tools came. Okay, so we had polished tools also, we had bone tools also, and some new technical developments came where they started tying to different types of tools to make a new one. And other developments were also there in the Neolithic age. So potteries, granaries, polished tools, bone tools, and the agricultural revolution, which shows surplus of agriculture, surplus of grains were there. With this surplus agriculture, people started settling down. Now if you have good amount of food to eat, right, so you don't need to worry. You don't need to worry that what I'll do tomorrow, how I'll live tomorrow, because I have some savings. Okay, so basically people now started having a calmness in their mind, you can say. A peace was achieved, surplus was achieved. They started storing it, they started making pottery. Now when they were making pottery, they discovered wheel. Why? Because if you see the making of a pottery manually, when you make the pottery, so you need to have a wheel to make that pottery. Chak जिसमें कुम्हार मटके बनाता है. If you have seen it, it looks like this. Like if you are making pottery, it will be made on this kind of a wheel in which potter or sculptor will make the potteries. Fine. So basically, these wheels which used to be there to make the pottery, by rotating it and making it and using it, once they just accidentally discovered it to use for traveling also. So wheel was discovered. The discovery of wheel was a great thing. Now, because of pottery making only, that wheel which used to be there to make the pottery, they used to move it horizontally, they started moving it vertically. Now it became wheel, and then they started traveling. They started discovering new things. With this, networking came. Okay, so after Neolithic age, you will see the development of travel, you will see the discrimination in society, and you'll also see some limited metals getting found. Like copper was the first metal to be found. Okay, that's why Chalcolithic age came. One more point which you need to understand is that when we discovered new tools, we never forgot the old tools. Old tools were also there, but we found newer tools also. So when we had polished tools, we were also using microlithic tools. We also use the rough tools of Paleolithic age. Okay, so all the types of tools were there, everything was used, everything was utilized. After this, we got the metal age. Okay, so after writing all this, I hope I can rub it, or you can just pause and take a screenshot, and then make a chart. And then after this Neolithic age, we got the metal age, in which the first is Chalcolithic age. Let me explain that Chalcolithic age also in a shorter way. After discussing that, I'll give you some point to write. Now let's discuss the metal age. As I told you, we had three types of metal. First, we discovered copper, right? So we had copper, then we discovered bronze, then we discovered iron, right? So in copper, initially when we got the copper, we were not clear that how will we use it. See, first of all, metal is a limited resource. So whenever you get some limited resource, you'll see the fight to control it, to get it. So some discrimination will be there. Some discrimination is always going to be there. When you have something limited, then people will fight to get it, right? So people started moving, traveling, fighting. So some discrimination will be there. Those who will have more resource can have a bigger house, can have a better life, as they can store food also now. So this kind of social discrimination came in the Chalcolithic age. Why Chalcolithic? Chalcolithic means copper stone age, in which we mixed copper with stone to get something new, which is known as copper stone age or Chalcolithic age. Okay, so Chalcolithic age, why? Because we were using stone since very long time, so we could not switch from stone to metal so quickly. Everything happens slowly and gradually. So we thought to mix it. We thought that okay, we had stone, now we have something which is better, harder, lustrous finish, looks more durable, so let's mix it. And by making the use of both these things, they got Chalcolithic age. In the Chalcolithic age, technology improved, paintings improved, social discrimination started growing, and life became complex because people started moving here and there, some networking went. And when you travel, you people don't travel alone, they travel with their habits, their hobbies, their way of living, their food habits, their culture, their belief system, their taboos and everything. Fine. So in this way, people they were moving. Now, with the development of Chalcolithic age, people mixed copper with tin. Initially, you will see that in the Bronze civilization or Harappan civilization, tin was imported. We used to import it from China, sometimes Afghanistan, sometimes the part of Rajasthan which is there in the present Pakistan. So tin was not there with us, but tin was imported. Now, if I say it was not there, I don't mean to say that it was completely not there. No, not 100% invisible. It was there, but the quantity was too low. That's why we had to import tin. Okay, so copper and tin was there. When you mix copper and tin, you get the bronze. Fine. Now, with bronze, the growth of Indus Valley civilization started because it was a better metal. So in IVC, you will see people having good understanding. They were peace loving people. They used to make jewelries, many artifacts, different things. So they had the silver also, gold also, copper also. They had bronze also, but they had no iron. This question came in exam, that Indus Valley civilization knew about which metal. So just understand that iron was discovered after Indus Valley. Okay, it was discovered in 1000 BC. Okay, so copper came in 4000 BC, bronze came in 3000 BC, and iron came in 1000 BC. Okay, now in Bronze Age, we had a good town planning. That's why the Indian history sometimes looks like a backward history, goes in backward direction. We start from urban civilization, Harappan civilization, then you see the decline, then you see Varna system coming, caste system coming, social discrimination increasing, wars, and then there will be time in the medieval history when you'll see slaves will be ruling India. Then ultimately India will be captured by Britishers. It will be a colony, and after getting that, colonization, that phase in India, people will struggle. There will be a huge amount of poverty, and then we will thrive for independence. We will struggle for independence, and ultimately, when we'll get the independence, it will come with a partition, and then we'll see that two nations came, India and Pakistan, right? So the entire history goes in a very reverse direction. If you look at the success rate and the peace rate, it was too high in the Bronze Age. Good town planning was there, grid system was followed, different cities were there. Lothal was the Manchester of Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so we will discuss Bronze Age in a separate chapter, don't worry. Then we discovered iron. How it came? Basically, it is said that around 1500 BC, Aryans came in India. Group of Aryans migrated from different parts of Central Asia, came to India in search of a better climatic conditions and pastures, because they were pastoralists. And in Rig Veda also there is the mention of the fight, the breakage of forts and all. So it looks like there was a clash between the last phase of Bronze Age people with the Aryans. Okay, so Aryans, why they got the victory here? Because they had two important things with them. They had horses and better weapons. So with better cavalry, not better but cavalry, because horse was not known to the Indus Valley people. Few of the remains of horse bones are found, but it never determines that they had horse centric or cow centric society. No, they maybe they knew about it, but they never used horse. They had no cavalry as such. So Aryans came in India in 1500 BC. So from 1500 BC to 1000 BC is known as the early Vedic era, where Aryans came. They got settled here. They fought with Das and the Sioux, because Das and the Sioux were the indigenous tribe, and they defeated Das and the Sioux. They became the ruler of this area because they had better cavalry, or they had the cavalry, you can say, only cavalry which they had, they came with it. So, with the power of horses and superior weapons, because they were fighters, they were pastoralists, they used to travel here and there. So, as they used to travel, they had a greater knowledge. So, that's why they used to have this victory in the area. Now, when they settled here, Aryans, when they came here, they understood that they can rule this area. They used to love cattle. They even used to pray for cattle. Okay, so this area of northern India will become the Aryan area. Gradually, they will move to the central India and then in the southern India also. But mostly they are confined to the northwestern part of India initially after 1000 BC. So, see, 1500 to 1000 BC, as I told, is the early Vedic era. Okay, and then from 1000 BC to 600 BC, you see the later Vedic era. What is later Vedic era? Basically, we saw the development of three more Vedas. In early Vedic era, we only had Rig Veda, but in later Vedic era, we had Sam Ved, Yajur Ved, and Atharva Ved. So, and we also saw the development of other religious texts. Basically, in this particular time, with the discovery of iron, everything changed in the society. Okay, the structure changed, the life changed, polity changed. With the change in polity, economy also changed. Basically, in the early Vedic era, life was simple. People were religious, but they used to only worship the natural sources. Gods were different. They used to worship their, gods, and they only used to ask for cattle. Okay, but in the later phase, you will see elaborated rituals. The society will have the Varna system in which women and Shudras were kept at the lowest level. Then you will see after Shudras and women in the society, we had Vaishyas, traders and businessmen. Then we had the Kshatriyas. Then we had the Brahmans who had the knowledge. Now the problem was Vaishyas who came on the third level from upper side in the Varna system. They were traders and commercial people. They were businessmen. Now they wanted to uplift their social status because they had a good amount of money with them. They were businessmen, they were traders. So due to trade and commerce, they increased their wealth. But religiously, they came in a very lower strata of society. So to increase their social status, they had to search a new religion. They found it with Buddhism and Jainism. So majorly highest level of donations to Buddhism and Jainism and the support came from the Vaishyas community. They also got converted and they started following these two religions, Buddhism and Jainism. So we will see the development of Buddhism and Jainism also. Then in Buddhism and Jainism, there is a chapter, new questions, new ideas. Why new questions? Because in such a chaos, when we got iron also, when we got everything in society, still people were not happy. So they had the question that why we are not happy? What is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of enlightenment, salvation? What do we want in this life? Why are we living? So these questions gave ideas to philosophies. New philosophies were written. Okay, Upanishads were written, and new texts were written, religious texts. Fine. So we will read about all those religious texts and everything. Okay. So one by one, I want you to write few points so that we don't break the sequence. As you know, that it's very important to keep the sequence in mind. Now I just gave you a small introduction of history. Okay, my intention is to give you a small intro in this particular chapter, in this particular video, that what are we going to cover, how the history develops, how ancient history moves, what are the basics of ancient history. Okay, then for Stone Age, we have a different chapter. For Metal Age, we have a different chapter. For Indus Valley Civilization, specifically, we have a different chapter. There will be a different video. For Vedic Era, there will be a different video. Then you will see the development of Mahajanpads in 600 BC. There, the Magad Mahajanpad is going to be the most important. Then from there, you will see the development and rise of Mauryas, right? Then Guptas. Then in last, Harshvardhan is going to be the last ruler. So this sequence will be going in the lecture, and we'll always have a different lesson for different topic. Now, as an intro, I gave you a brief understanding so that you have an idea of basics. Now, we have a group of historians basically, and of course archaeologists, they work on archaeology. Then historians were the people who studied the past and used information, and they found inscriptions, seals, scripts like this, you can see. Okay, like this is a pot, it is from an old city, like so it was used about 4700 years ago. Then here you can see an old silver coin, such this kind of coins, they were used 2500 years ago. Okay, as I told you, second chapter is about the Mesolithic age, so I'll be discussing few points related to it. I'll give you a few points, but before I move, I just want you to understand and learn about few of the important sites. See, the triangular areas are for Paleolithic sites. Okay, like you can see Kurnool caves. When I say Paleolithic, Bhimbetka is very, very important. Okay, this is a Paleolithic site. Then we had some megalithic sites also, like Adi Channalur. What is megalithic? Big stone sites. It is not Mesolithic. So when they used to bury a body, sometimes they used to keep a very big stone on it and some small, small stones around it to make a circle or rectangular shape, like something there on the ground. So megalithic sites had the burials in it. So they were the burial sites. They are found in Burzahom also in Kashmir. They are also found in South India, mostly in the Deccan part of India. So just to keep it protected from the animals and harsh climatic conditions and weather conditions, they used to make the megalithic burial sites. Okay, so we had some megalithic burial sites in Adichanallur, in Brahmagiri also, and here we can see that a very important area, Mehergarh, is written. Mehergarh had the oldest villages, oldest settlements. Okay, so we will be repeating the name Mehergarh again and again in the discussion of lecture. And Burzahom is in Kashmir. Here we had pit houses. Pit houses means houses made underground, like basement. Okay, nowadays when I say this word basement in ORN, I get that pictures and images in my mind, horrifying images, and the failure of government comes in my mind. Okay, so yes, I hope you understood that underground houses, like if this is the ground, people used to make pits inside. They used to dig the ground, and then they inside it they had houses. So it was to keep themselves protected from the harsh weather conditions, animals and all. Okay, so Burzahom was famous for these pit houses. We had pit houses in South India also. Fine. Chirand is also very, very important. In Koldibha also some important sites were there. So Daujali Harding is here. Inamgaon was a very important place. It is famous for a burial site of a chief who was buried in the in the courtyard of his own house. Okay. Then Hunski had the important caves. This is also a Paleolithic site. Fine. So we will be discussing all these sites one by one. So what do we mean by sites basically? When I say sites, sites means what? Sites are places where remains of things are found. Okay. So when I say site, Paleolithic site, Mesolithic site, you need to understand that I'm talking about the place where you will get the tools, pots, buildings also. Okay. And these sites, they were made for for their use, like to live or to make tools. Sometimes they had the sites in which they used to make tools. Okay. So these were made, used and left behind by the people. They may be found on the surface of the earth also, or sometimes buried under the earth, or sometimes even underwater. Sometimes when they used to bury the human body after death, they used to keep stone tools with them, as they used to believe in the life after death. Okay, so many sites were there. This is a very important site, Bhimbetka, which is in Madhya Pradesh. This is an old site which with caves and rock shelters. Very, very important. You'll know the name of Bhimbetka again and again. Then we saw the development of a new life, new ways and all. Okay, so before explaining more, let's write something. Okay, let me just dictate you few points so that you could have a good understanding about writing the points. Give me a moment. Yes. So please write lecture number 1, ancient history, and kindly keep a heading. Okay. One by one, we'll write the points. Please write first point. Types of sources and historical construction. This is the first topic which you need to write. Types of sources and historical construction. Okay. Next, please write the first point. Write like this. There are two sources. There are two sources, archaeological and literary. Please write like this line. There are two sources, archaeological and literary. Under archaeological sources, please write, we can have monuments, potteries, sculptures, paintings. Okay. You can write it in the next point if you want. Please write the next point. Under archaeological sources, we can have monuments, potteries, coins, seals, tools and graves, tools and graves, comma, inscriptions, etc. etc. Okay. So we can have these all things in the archaeological evidences. Let's come to the literary sources now. You can write it in a flowchart also, or if you want, you can write it in a pointer. So next point, please write. Literary sources can be divided into two parts. Literary sources, two parts. Indian literature and foreign literature. Please write. Indian literature or foreign literature. Foreign literature means what? Foreign literature means travelogues. Okay, like travelers came to India, Fahian, Hyun Sang, right? Al-Biruni, Ibn Battuta, Megasthenes, so many travelers came, right? So from the eyes of travelers also you can see, like Megasthenes wrote Indica, which shows a great detail of India. But sometimes it looks like few facts are wrong. Means they are overheard and written without even checking the facts. Fine. So, by those foreign literatures also, you can guess few points. But the problem is, when foreigners they come to India, they have their own perspective of looking at India. Even today, if foreigners they are visiting India and if they go to the places, they feel like coming here, but they still sometimes have a perspective, right? Now, perspective is changing. Why? Because we have globalization today. So people are more connected. Networking is higher. It's easy to know and understand each other. So now people are assuming that India is having a better development, good education, skills are happening, and things are growing. In a true sense, it is a developing country now. So we have some perspectives with us. Now the problem is when these foreigners used to come here, They never used to check the cultural details and facts because it was not possible for them, first of all. And India is such a diverse country that you can never understand the way of living by just seeing it. If you're not born in a family, you'll never know that why they eat like this, why they consume things like this. Okay? Some camera issue is happening, no worries. Just wait, give me a moment. I'll just resolve it. Right, it is fine now. Okay, yeah. So basically, guys, we can have tools, we can have graves in the archaeological evidences, and in literary records, we can have Indian literature and we can have foreign literature. Right, the next point. In the Indian literature, please write Indian literature. Next point. Can be divided into religious literature or secular literature. Indian literature can be divided into religious literature or secular literature. Okay. So what is religious? Ramayana, Mahabharat, Puran, Ved, okay, Jatak stories. So they all are religious. But if we talk about secular literature, then they are historical records, historical literature, right? In which some kind of history was there. Like if, for example, if you know about that Kashmiri writer, Raj Tarangini, he wrote Raj Tarangini. So Raj Tarangini was written by whom? You need to tell me in the comment section. It's a very easy question and I assume that you would be knowing it. Okay, so let's see who will put the first comment and tell me a name of a book and writer which you know from the ancient history. And if it is your favorite one, then you can write it in the comment box. Okay, I'll just check how many of you are aware of it. So basically, we can have secular literature also. Like Raj Tarangini is a secular literature, right? Or if we talk about Arthashastra, that is also a secular literature, which is not interfering into the religious matters. And if even it does, it is on a political level or on some socio-economic level, not on the grounds of religiously influencing anyone. Fine. So please write the next point. Under the religious literature, please write. We can have Brahmanical literature, Buddhist literature, and Jaina literature. For example, next line. For example, Brahmanical literature can be divided into Brahmanical literature can be divided into Shruti text and Smriti texts. Okay, Shruti texts and Smriti texts. So what is Shruti? Please write in the next point. Shruti text includes Vedas, in bracket Rigved, Samved, Yajurved, Atharvaved, you can write. Shruti text will include Vedas. In Shruti text, please write Vedas, Brahmanas, Aryankas, and Upanishads. Okay, next point. In Smriti text, please write. In Smriti text, SMRITI, we can have Vedangas, Vedangas, Vedangas means Ang of Vedas, Vedangas. Epics like Ramayana and Mahabharat. Epics like Ramayana and Mahabharat. Third, Purans. Purans, etc. Okay, so we have all these things in the Smriti texts. Fine, now come to the next point. Please write the next line. Non-religious or secular literature. Non-religious or secular literature. Under it, please write example. Historical sources like Raj Tarangini, comma, Sangam literature, etc. I hope you know about the Sangam literature. What is Sangam literature? Sangam means assembly. Okay, so it was written in South India, in Madurai. Okay, how many Sangams we have? We have total 3 Sangams. Okay, we have total 3 Sangams. Fine. So 3 Sangams we had, and basically Tolkapiyam is one of the most important literature which was written in the second Sangam. Fine. We will discuss the Sangam era later. Now come to the next point. Please write. In foreign literature we can have Greco-Roman writers, Greco-Roman writers, GRACEO dash Roman, Greco-Roman writers. In bracket you can write Herodotus, comma, Ptolemy, 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 bracket closed, comma, Chinese writers like Fa Hian and Hyun Sang, Chinese writers in bracket Fa Hian, Hyun Sang. I hope you know about the spelling of Fa Hian and Hyun Sang, right? Fa Hian and Hyun Sang. Write like this if you don't know the spelling. Fine. Fa Hian and Hyun Sang. Third point. Arab writers like Suleiman and Ibn Battuta. In bracket you can write Suleiman and Ibn Battuta, Arab writers, full stop. So we had all these kind of archaeological sources. Fine. Now please write the next point. These archaeological remains are subjected to scientific examination, which is done by radiocarbon dating, comma, pollen analysis, pollen, POLLEN, pollen analysis, and dendrochronology. Dendrochronology. Next point. Now we need to discuss the methods of dating in the history. Fine. What we need to discuss? Methods of dating in the history. So we will be discussing the methods of dating in the next class. Okay. There we will continue the topic from the part of prehistory, of course, and I'll discuss more about the literary resources. I'll dictate more points for you. So I hope guys you enjoyed the session, and in case you have any issue, if you have any doubts, don't worry, I'm always there to discuss that with you. I'll be dealing with everything in the history. You don't need to read anything after watching these sessions. Okay, basics to advanced, I'll be covering all the topics for you. Okay, so thank you so much for watching guys. See you then. Take care. Bye bye.